Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're listening to this, you're probably really interested in this whole AI chip thing that's been happening.
Yeah.
And especially since OpenAI is looking beyond NVIDIA for their chips,
Hmm.
which honestly, their moves are kind of shaking things up in the industry.
Definitely.
And it's interesting because it's impacting some companies that you might not expect, like Broadcom and AMD.
Oh, sure.
So today we're going to deep dive into all of this and figure out why it's happening.
Sounds good.
So we've got this article here, and it talks about how NVIDIA, they're kind of like the big name in AI chips right now,
Oh, yeah, they're huge.
but they're running into a bit of a wall.
Yeah, literally a sold-out wall.
Okay, wait, so explain this sold-out wall. What's going on?
So you know they're Blackwell chips, the super powerful ones.
Yeah, those are like top of the line, right?
Yeah, they're gone. They're completely sold out.
What? Really?
Yeah, for like the next year.
Wow.
Yeah, and for a company like OpenAI, that's a huge problem.
Oh,
They need these chips now to keep all of their AI projects going and moving forward.
so like imagine you're training for the Olympics, but the gym's booked solid for the year.
Exactly. They need to be training. They need those chips.
So what have they been doing to work around this?
Well, so their initial plan was to build this huge network of factories around the world
Oh, wow.
to make their own AI chips.
So they wanted to just completely do it themselves.
Yeah, but then they changed their minds and decided to partner up with specific companies instead.
Interesting. So why the changes?
Well, I think if you look at Amazon and Google, they've been investing tons of money into making their own chips in-house.
Right.
And I think it's all about control.
Hmm.
You know, they don't want to be dependent on another company.
So they don't have to just take whatever NVIDIA is making or, however much they decide to charge.
Exactly. Plus, they can customize those chips to fit exactly what they need.
That makes sense.
And over time, it probably saves them a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure.
So it looks like OpenAI is taking a page out of their book.
Okay, so who is OpenAI partnering with for their AI chips?
So for their very first AI chip, they've decided to go with Broadcom.
Broadcom.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
This is a big deal. Broadcom's not new to this. They've been making custom chips for companies like Google for a while now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they've got experience.
Yeah, the ones that need crazy amounts of computing power, we're talking hyperscalers.
Wait, hold on. Back up. What exactly is a hyperscaler?
So imagine a company that runs data centers so big, they're practically their own countries.
Okay, wow.
Like Google, Amazon, Microsoft. These are hyperscalers. They need insane amounts of processing power for everything they do, and that's where companies like Broadcom come in.
Oh, okay, I'm starting to get it.
They design specialized chips that can handle those massive workloads.
So Broadcom definitely knows how to make chips for the big leagues.
Exactly. And now they've got OpenAI on their roster.
That's a pretty impressive client to have.
Oh, for sure.
And remember those engineers that OpenAI hired? The ones who used to work on Google's special AI chips?
The TPUs.
Yeah. That probably wasn't a coincidence, was it?
Probably not. Their inside knowledge of how Broadcom works would have been really valuable.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And from Broadcom's perspective, landing a deal with OpenAI is a major win.
It's got to be incredibly profitable for them, right?
Definitely. And it helps them secure a strong position in the AI market.
That's huge. Speaking of Broadcom, let's take a look at how they've been doing lately.
Sure. So their latest quarterly report showed that they're still making money, but their stock dropped a little because they didn't quite meet Wall Street's expectations.
Ah, the joys of the stock market.
Right. But the important thing to remember is that Broadcom still expects to make a ton of money from AI this year. Like we're talking $12 billion.
Wow, that's massive.
And this OpenAI deal could be a big part of that.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. So OpenAI is working on this long-term game with Broadcom,
Right.
but they still need chips right now.
Yeah. And that's where AMD comes in.
AMD, okay, fill me in.
So the thing with AMD is that they've got chips that are ready to ship right now when NVIDIA can't keep up with the demand.
I see, so they're kind of like the backup plan.
Yeah, in a way the article actually called AMD Mr. Right Now.
Ha ha ha. That's funny.
I know, right? But it's true. NVIDIA might be the dream partner for OpenAI later on.
But AMD is the one who can give them what they need today.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, hey, we're not going to put all our eggs in one basket.
They gotta move fast, and AMD is helping them do that.
And they've been doing pretty well lately.
Have they?
Oh, yeah. Their last earnings report completely blew everyone's expectations out of the water.
Seriously?
Yeah, they had a huge earnings beat, and it was mostly because of their data center revenue, which went up by 122% compared to last year.
Wait a minute, 122%.
Yes, that's not a typo, 122%.
Holy cow, that's incredible.
It really shows that they're becoming a major player in the AI chip market.
So they're not just like the cheaper option anymore.
No, they're going head-to-head with the big names now, and they're winning.
Wow. So how is NVIDIA responding to this? Are they just letting AMD take over?
Oh, they're not going down without a fight.
Hmm.
But to really understand what's happening here, we need to talk about AMD's CEO, Lisa Su.
Oh, yeah. She's a bit of a rock star in the tech world.
She is, and recently she made a pretty bold statement.
What did she say?
She said that their new MI325 chip, which is coming out next year, will actually be more powerful than NVIDIA's chips.
Wow. That's a pretty big claim.
It is, and it's definitely going to heat up the competition between these two companies.
Which honestly is good for everyone, right?
Exactly. When you have competition, it forces everyone to innovate to get better.
It could even push prices down.
Yeah, imagine if these powerful AI tools were suddenly affordable for smaller companies or researchers.
That would be a game changer.
It would truly democratize access to AI and lead to even more innovation.
That's a really exciting thought.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the big players like NVIDIA, AMD, and Broadcom. But what about some of the other companies in this space, like Intel or Qualcomm? Where do they fit into all of this?
That's a great question. And to be honest, they've both been trying to get into the AI game, but to keep up with these other companies, they're going to need to step up their game.
Yeah, big time. And let's not forget about all the startups that are popping up.
Oh, you're right. There are so many companies coming up with new ways to design AI chips.
It's kind of like a gold rush, but instead of gold, it's AI chips.
Exactly. Everyone's trying to get a piece of the action.
And I think that brings up something really important for our listeners as they're learning about this whole AI landscape.
What's that?
Don't just focus on the big names.
Yeah.
Pay attention to those smaller companies too, the ones who are really pushing the boundaries.
I agree. They're often the ones who come up with the most exciting innovations.
It's like in any industry, right? The real game changers come from unexpected places.
Exactly. So as you're learning about this world of AI chips, be curious, explore different perspectives, and don't be afraid to question everything.
You might just discover the next big thing before anyone else.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, so before we move on, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about the possibility of AI chip prices coming down.
Oh, yeah. That's a key takeaway for anyone who's working with AI or thinking about investing in this field.
Because right now, these chips are so expensive.
They are. And that cost is a huge barrier for smaller companies and researchers who want to get into AI.
Yeah, it's just not feasible for everyone right now.
Right. But as competition heats up, we could see prices start to drop.
That would be amazing.
It would make AI more accessible to a much wider range of people.
And that would lead to even more innovation and progress.
Imagine a world where any startup, any research lab, any student can get their hands on these powerful AI tools.
Wow, the possibilities would be endless.
Exactly. It's a really exciting vision, and one that this shift in the AI chip landscape could actually make happen.
You know, it's really interesting how OpenAI is partnering with both Broadcom and AMD.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think it's brilliant. They're playing a two-sided game, tackling their short-term needs with AMD and their long-term goals with Broadcom.
Right. They need to keep their projects running at full speed now, but they're also investing in a custom solution that could give them a major advantage in the future.
It's smart. It really shows how committed they are to staying ahead of the curve in AI development.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how important flexibility and smart partnerships are in this rapidly changing field.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here today, but let's bring it all back to our listener.
Yeah, how can they actually use this knowledge?
Well, if you're involved with AI in any way, whether you're a developer, a researcher, an investor, or even just an enthusiast,
Yeah.
understanding these shifts in the AI chip landscape is crucial.
Yeah, for sure.
It can help you make better decisions about the technology you use, the companies you support, and the future you want to see.
For example, if you're building an AI-powered application, you need to know what kind of chips are out there.
Right.
What are their strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah.
How do they compare to each other?
And if you're thinking about investing in AI, you need to understand which companies are in the best position to capitalize on these new trends.
Definitely.
It's not just about chips and specs, it's about the future of AI itself.
Right. And the companies that control the hardware, they're going to have a huge influence on what that future looks like.
So it's important to stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay curious.
For sure.
The world of AI is only going to get more fascinating from here.
Now, I know we've been talking a lot about the big players of the competition.
Right.
But there's another angle I want to bring up, and that's open source hardware.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
So open source hardware basically means that the designs are freely available for anyone to use and modify.
So it's like a recipe that anyone can tweak and make their own version of.
Exactly. Instead of relying on a few big companies to create all the AI chips,
Right.
Anyone could potentially design and build their own.
Wow, that's a really cool concept.
It could give smaller companies, researchers, and even hobbyists the power to create custom chips for their specific needs.
That's amazing. That could really shake things up.
It definitely has the potential to democratize access to this technology and create a more collaborative environment.
Where everyone can contribute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some people even argue that open source hardware could lead to more diverse and resilient AI systems,
Interesting.
ones that aren't so reliant on just a few corporations.
I see.
So it's definitely something to watch closely.
So where does open source hardware stand right now? Is it actually being used?
It's still a relatively niche area, but there's some really promising initiatives out there.
Like what?
Well, there's RISC-V, which is an open source instruction set architecture.
So basically a blueprint for building chips that anyone can use.
Yeah, exactly. And there are also organizations like the Open Compute Project that are promoting open hardware designs for data centers.
Which could include AI accelerators.
Exactly. So the seeds are definitely being planted for a more open and collaborative future in AI chip development.
I'm really interested to see how this all plays out.
Me too. It's an area that could see a lot of growth in the next few years and potentially reshape the entire AI chip landscape.
That's incredible. So for anyone listening, be sure to keep an eye on this open source movement.
It could be the key to a more accessible and equitable future for AI, where everyone has the power to participate.
Now, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Sound good?
We've spent a lot of time talking about the technology, the competition, but at the end of the day, the most important question is, what do we actually want AI to achieve? What's the big picture here?
That's a great question.
Because as we create these increasingly powerful chips, we need to be really clear about our goals.
Absolutely.
What do we want AI to do? Do we want it to simply automate tasks and make us more efficient?
Or do we want it to augment human intelligence and help us solve complex problems that we can't solve on our own?
Do we want AI to push the boundaries of creativity and create new forms of art?
Or do we want AI to help us build a more just and sustainable world for everyone?
These are huge questions that we need to answer together as a society.
And the choices we make today will have a huge impact on the future.
So as you continue to learn about AI and these incredible chips, keep asking yourself, what role do I want AI to play in my life and in the world around me?
Yeah, that's something we all need to think about.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your expertise.
It was my pleasure diving into this with you.
And to all of our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of AI chips. We hope you've learned something new and maybe even discovered a newfound sense of wonder about the possibilities of this technology.
Yeah, it's a constantly evolving field, so stay curious, stay informed, and keep those questions coming.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive, exploring a new topic and unpacking even more fascinating insights. So until then, keep exploring and keep that thirst for knowledge alive.
See you next time. Yeah, it's a constantly evolving field, so stay curious, stay informed, and keep those questions coming.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive, exploring a new topic and unpacking even more fascinating insights. So until then, keep exploring and keep that thirst for knowledge alive.
See you next time.
Yeah, it really makes you think,
Yeah.
about the impact that AI could have on our world. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And it's crazy to think that these tiny little chips are a big reason why all of this is happening.
It's true. It's a great example of how innovation works on so many different levels.
Right.
You have the big picture of what we want AI to do, and then you've got all the details of the hardware that actually make it possible.
That's like a symphony orchestra, right? You need the vision of the composer, but you also need each individual musician playing their part perfectly to create something amazing.
Exactly. That's a perfect analogy.
And the whole story of OpenAI, NVIDIA, Broadcom, and AMD, it really shows how important that balance is between having a big vision and being able to execute it.
Yeah, for sure.
We've seen how quickly things can change in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
And how important it is to be flexible and open to trying new things.
Absolutely. The companies that can adapt to change are the ones that will succeed in the long run.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We talked about the power dynamics between these big companies, the rise of new players, and the potential for open source hardware to disrupt the entire industry.
It's been a really fascinating deep dive.
I know, I've learned so much.
Me too.
So to everyone listening, thank you for joining us. We hope you've gained a better understanding of AI chips and their potential.
Yeah, it's a technology that's constantly evolving, so stay curious, stay informed.
And keep asking those questions.
Yeah, and we'll be back soon with another deep dive into a brand new topic.
So until then, keep exploring and keep that thirst for knowledge alive. See you next time.